are the bald facts. Let's speak live on the programme to Moshe Levi, who's the brother-in-law of Omri Miran, who is still being held hostage in Gaza. And Moshe, thank you once again for taking time to speak to us here at the BBC. Give me your reaction to what we've seen.
Good afternoon, Matthew. I think I represent many families of hostages by saying that we were shocked to see the news coming out of Doha this morning. It's unclear how taking such action is going to promote negotiations for the release of the hostages, something that the Israeli government is supposedly committed to, something that the US administration has been committed to. The situation is complex. I have no tears for the arch terrorists who were eliminated today in Doha. But at the same time, I understand that making this action now is detrimental for negotiations. And one thing is constant. There are 48 hostages in Gaza held by Hamas, and they're waiting to be released.
And to state the obvious, your concern, I suppose, totally based on the fact that these people, and I hear what you say about them and having absolutely no sympathy for them, but these people were the interlocutors to trying to get your relatives home, your loved ones home, weren't they?
Yes, at the end of the day, the meeting in Doha that was convened was attended by those who are negotiating with Israel, negotiating with the US and with the mediator countries, including Qatar. Again, I think they played a terrible role on October the 7th. And ever since Hamas was established, they are terrorists and they're never negotiated in good faith. But at the same time, they were the only key to ensure that there will be a deal that releases all the hostages, a deal that will end the war. And right now, I don't see how we can negotiate and with whom. If truly the leadership of Hamas in Qatar was eliminated, the people on the ground in Gaza are even more radical than the leadership of Hamas in Qatar. And so it will be very difficult to reach an agreement. And it seems like we're ahead of another escalation and month of uncertainty for us as families and for the wider Israeli public and, of course, everyone in the region, including the civilians in Gaza.
And you were posing the question that I was going to ask you, which is, I suppose you are now wondering who is left to actually negotiate with, even whether they'd be willing to negotiate with Israel, given what has happened.
Yes, I'm left wondering as a result of this act. Again, I think the onus is on Hamas. There shouldn't be any negotiations. They should have been compelled to release the hostages, lay down their arms, leave the Gaza Strip before Israel even responded to the October 7th atrocity. If that was the case, we would have been in a much better situation and hopefully in better relations with our Palestinian neighbors. That didn't happen. Negotiations have been stalled for many times because of Hamas. And as a result, we have reached this situation. However, at the same time, I understand that our government perhaps took the decision to take down Hamas leadership in Doha because they don't see reason to continue negotiating with them. And if that's the case, I'm left wondering, are the hostages going to return home? Is Omri going to be reunited with my sister Lishai and my nieces Ronnie and Alma? I don't have answers. As I said, it's a complex situation. But what I have is fear and shock from everything that has been engulfing in the past few hours.
I know it's very difficult every time we interview you, but in terms of how the family are coping on a day like today, news like today, give me and people who are watching a sense of it.
Well, I spoke with my sister today. She had several meetings with both the security apparatus and other relevant stakeholders back home in Israel. She's trying to make sense of the situation. She's trying not to drive herself into pessimism because she's a mother to two children who are yearning to meet their father again. And she's inspiring me every day because she doesn't lose hope, because she keeps being strong despite all the difficulties. I have to be strong with her. This is our reality. I'll be in DC at the end of this week to meet with policymakers there. I will expect to receive some answers from them. What are we going to do now? What is the plan going forward? And if they can provide an honest answer, if the plan going forward is only military pressure, no negotiations, I want to receive that answer and I will accept it because that's what policymakers were voted for, to make decisions. I just hope we won't be dancing around the notion that we can keep negotiating while applying such military pressure that is detrimental to the safety of the hostages, because they're held by jihadists who will kill them, who will execute them as they did before with hostages only a year ago in August in Rafah.
Yeah. Let me ask you a final question, because for months now, and we've seen the protests, the families of a lot of the hostages have said that the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister's office hasn't been listening to them. Do you think, had Benjamin Netanyahu and others talked about this, about a potential, you'd have said to him, don't do this?
I think that taking such action, and I'm separating myself from the emotional attachment to this situation. I think from my personal perspective, elimination of terrorist organization leaders can be done at any point of time. They could have been done and should have been done before October the 7th in order to ensure Hamas is not a growing power that can threaten Israeli civilians. It should not be done in the midst of negotiations, in my opinion, because it harms the ability to find a solution to the pressing issue.
Moshe, I've got to interrupt you.